Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Dr. B Show. In this episode of the Dr. B Show, I interviewed Dr. Monica Chavez. She's an amazing young woman. She went to school in London. She is from Mexico. Great opportunity, great leadership quality, great leadership skills, and we had a fantastic conversation. And enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Dr. B Show. I'm here with the great Dr. Monica Chavez. Monica, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. A bit freezing here in the UK. There is snow and the roads are icy, but I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Yeah, over here, obviously recorded to be aired at a later date. It is winter here as well, and it's cold. So,
Yeah.
or as they say in the hood here, brick. It's cold. Got it. So let's jump right into it. So tell everyone about yourself.
So, I'm Dr. Monica Chavez. I am originally from Mexico. I guess that's a good way to start. And probably you're wondering, what is a Mexican doing in the north of the UK? I live in Liverpool. I'm from the northeast of Mexico. I came to the UK a few years ago, 20 years this year. So I'm an expert. I call it global citizen, expat, or migrant, whatever you want to call it. I'm comfortable with all the terminology. And I came here to study. And I did a few projects. I worked at the University of Liverpool for a while. I also lived in other places, but my life has been mostly based in the UK in the last 20 years. So what I do? Well, I'm a mom, I'm a consultant, I'm a podcaster, and I love all of them. You put different hats on. I think you will relate to that if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, we wear a lot of hats. Yes, we're you and I.
A lot of hats. So you can listen to my podcast, or I love meeting new people. I like enriching my network, and you will probably know about it, Jairo, that your worth is based on your network. Is that correct? Is that the saying? Something along those lines.
Yeah, your net worth is your network, something like that.
Yeah. So I like connecting with diverse people. Recently, when I started my podcast, I started to expand my network globally. I lived in different places, like I said. So for work, I do consultancy and community building. What does that mean? It's different to networking, and probably there are some intersections. I mostly work with women of color who want to position themselves as leaders, whether they're emerging leaders or they have established and they're looking for a different direction. I do work on anti-racism here in the UK. I know in the States the discourse is quite advanced, but in the UK it's very new. It's a conversation. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist, but in the UK to talk about it is very new. So I facilitate those kind of conversations, and that's kind of organizational consulting. So that's me. And I love traveling to Mexico whenever I can. That's my number one holiday destination.
I love it. Of course. And I'm excited to take a deeper dive on your business and your endeavors, obviously in the next couple of minutes. So, I'm very big on education. You can't see it here. You used to be able to see it here. I replaced it with belts, but I'm very big on degrees and certifications. Yeah. So, you got your bachelor's degree in psychology, right? Yeah. Your certificate to teach English as well. We went to the University of Cambridge for your master's in applied linguistics and doctorate in philosophy and applied linguistics from the University of Liverpool. So how do you think education help you in what you do today?
How can education help you today?
Yeah, how did your education help you in what you're doing today?
Well, I do think, I'll start by saying that it has helped me. Definitely. I think nowadays, young people think, I don't need a degree. That is particularly true in the UK.
Right now there's a shift in that. Right now, but before it was always, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, 40 years, retire. But that's not the case anymore, right? Now,
no.
It's kind of shifted a little bit. So,
so I was very traditional. My family very traditional. I did the steps that you're supposed to take. I feel for me, in my experience, it has helped me. I think a lot of people want to be influencers or, be on social media. That's okay. I don't think maybe you don't need a degree. I just think that the degree will give you the skills that probably will increase the chances of you succeeding, because you can, it's like a quality assurance that you've gone through a process, you've put in the work in something. But of course, if you have a brilliant idea and you're solving a big problem, and maybe you are into weight training, you want to be an influencer, absolutely go for it. So I think there is a market, but no, it's not for everyone. And I don't want to sound old, but I do encourage young people to pursue some sort of education, because it has helped me. And people think, oh, well, you are privileged and you went abroad. Well, yeah, but I was very lucky and I worked very hard. Everything, my studies were sponsored. I had scholarships from the university and from the Mexican government. And, you know, I was one in a million, because who does a degree abroad in applied linguistics? Maybe 20 years ago, it was a bit easier to do it, but I consider myself very blessed, and I really cherished having education. It opens doors, definitely.
I agree with you 100%. As you was talking, I was thinking about my own journey, right? I definitely think for for me, it was always like you said, it was always like a backup or quality assurance. Like if it didn't work out in one industry, I could always have the degree and pursue another thing, right? So I think it's changed a lot. I think people like you and I have realized that it's not just a degree, 40 years, retire, that's it, right? So yes, you could do the degree in the job, but now there's depending on your job, you can have a side business, or eventually, as you know, entrepreneurship is the way to to riches, right? As I say, so I dabble across both now, right? So that's why even for me, I felt that without the education, I wouldn't be here, and even it doesn't have to be degree necessarily. Like I still
No.
seek like masterminds and coaches, and I'm always learning. And like you, I'm pretty sure you're always learning, whether it's certifications or masterminds, or in my case, I hire specific business coaches to kind of help me specifically in real estate or just my own business. So I love it.
I'm going to ask you something about that, because I think you're really good at picking coaches. So before, I'm going to ask you what's your criteria, because you know.
It's a two-way conversation.
But before I do that, I want to say about the degree that I think it buys you into a network of people that elevates your connections. That's what I think. And you probably know this.
Yeah, 100%.
You get to know people, and normally is the person in between. Normally is not your contact with someone else. So you know the concept of social capital, that resources will be accessed via your network. And it doesn't have to be the person that is really closest to you. That's why I tell people, if you're going to pay for a degree, connect with your classmates, not with the intention of getting something, but just really to build relationships, because maybe in 4 years when you finish your degree, or 3 years, someone will let you know about some opportunity. So that's the benefit. I think you pay for accessing a level of people.
100%. You pay obviously for the degree and knowledge, but you also pay for that network and the alumni network. No, 100%. Let's continue with you. Oh, you have a question? Go ahead.
I want to know your criteria to picking coaches, because, my biggest strength is that I see the good in people, but it's also my biggest weakness. And I've made mistakes sometimes in picking coaches. So I want to know your criteria.
Great question. And I'm a big baseball fan, so everything is like percentages and averages, right? So sometimes there's a swing and a miss. Sometimes I swing and I make contact, as they say, right? But for me, it's all about the need at the time, right? So as an example, about a year and a half ago, I had no knowledge of real estate, right? So so I was looking at, so the way I picked my criteria for my two masterminds, the first one, for example, was like, okay, who had the visibility, who had the credibility, who was easy to work with. So I shopped around. So I went to a couple of conferences and I landed on Amy Majuri. Shout out to her. And then a couple of months later, as I was in her class, I wrapped up her mastermind, and I'm still in touch with a lot of her and a lot of folks in the course. I needed something more specific towards multifamily. So I did the same thing. I did my research, looked up a couple of folks. I narrowed it down to 3 or 4. And then I wound up picking Mike Ely. Shout out to him. And then thanks to his community, I was able to, purchase my, get into the game, as they say, right? So I pick it how according to, my needs at the time, and I do my research and compare and contrast. Now, there's been situations where I've purchased courses in the past and it's gone, nothing's happened, right? So it's a hit or miss. But so usually, what is it? 100? What is it? You got to, like the lottery. You got to be in it to win it. So sometimes you got to take a shot. So I take a shot where I can, and in some cases it works, in some cases it doesn't. So you just hope that you got to be in it. You got to take the shot. That's all.
It looks like you move on really quickly if it doesn't work out, but
yes,
you don't beat yourself up for the mistake.
Fire gas, fail fast. Yes.
Yeah, that is good. Okay, thank you. That's really big. I think it makes a difference where you come from as a person who's hiring a coach. I think if you are in a position that I want to save my career, I want to save something or relationship or something, it's different than you kind of have balance and a level of success, and then you hire someone to improve that. But if you come from I'm failing or not like saving something, I think it's
it is a different mindset. Yeah, it's a different mindset. For me, I just want to be the top, right? I don't know. I'm obsessed. I'm like Michael Jordan, very competitive, right? So, and for others, I agree. Like you could be like an act of desperation, or you're failing, and then you need someone to turn around. So yeah, I'm not in a position where I was like that, but yeah, it's all about mindset. But I do think a lot of folks, where they come short is, they're failing in sales or whatever, and then they're too scared to take that leap of faith and spend $5,000, $10,000, whatever on a coach, and they'd rather try to continue to DIY it, and then they go worse and worse and worse instead of just finding someone to help them turn it around. So I agree with that. I agree there, 100%.
Okay,
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. So you're a consultant, education developer, similar to me, which is why I think we get along very well. Both at British Council and the University of Liverpool. So when developing programs, what do you look for as far as, your framework for that?
Oh, I'm going to get very nerdy, but to me, it's all about learning outcomes and that the content is aligned to what you're trying to achieve. And that includes the assessments as well, because I remember when I studied, like the assessment had nothing to do with the content I had seen. So that aspect is really important to me. What else? Fun, engaging, interactive. That's what I look at. So, for example, I had when I was at the University of Liverpool, I had a project, the Champions Program lead. I don't know if you came across it, and it was a very difficult project because, as you know, people don't like change in organizations. You stay in a job for a long time and you are institutionalized. You adhere to the norms and the culture, and you just want to do your job. So I was introducing a new tool, digital tool, and some people they don't like technology. They don't want to adopt it in their job or in their teaching. If you are in academia, if you're a lecturer. So I had to be very creative. I was very lucky to be sponsored by Microsoft. I was in contact with one person, and my boss was really allowing of the whole thing, given that other priority projects were happening. So my approach was to build community around the rollout of that technology. So I'm a big fan of community. That's what I do in different applications. I've done many things. One is technology. I've done 2 or 3 projects around that. That was the rollout of Microsoft Teams. That was 2019, and it was hot stuff back then. I don't know if you remember Microsoft Teams. Now it's like everybody
use Teams now. So
yes. So I've done that, and then I moved into more diversity and inclusion topics because it became, like I said, in America the discourse is open, and there is a lot of conversation around that. In the UK, it all started in 2020, like most parts of the world. And that's when I was asked to do a project around decolonizing the curriculum. So I really got into that. I think you have to be very courageous to talk about anti-racism or equality, gender equity, those kind of topics. And you have to be very patient with people who are not willing to take part. But again, you have to put community at the forefront of everything that you do. That is not about you. It's about everybody in an organization or in any community.
Want to raise capital for your deals without hitting dead ends? And Dealmaker how to easily raise unlimited capital for your deals. Business strategist and investor Dr. Hera Borja, that's me, unveils the proven strategies that successful deal makers use to secure funding, attract investors, and close deals with confidence. Whether you're a real estate investor, entrepreneur, or business owner, this book will teach you how to find and connect with the right investors, leverage networking, partnerships to access capital and secure funding opportunities, structure deals that make investors say yes, building lasting relationships that lead to more opportunities. If you're tired of struggling to fund your deals, this book will give you a clear, actionable roadmap to securing capital and growing your investments. The money's out there. Are you ready to get it? Grab your copy today and start making deals happen. Go to BorjaConsultingGroup.com. That's BorjaConsultingGroup.com for more information on launch date, launch party, and other events related to the book. Let's get it. I love that. And speaking community, you spoke about community and community building. You did a lot of that for, I guess, Liverpool College. So how important is training students for that engagement as these professionals enter the workforce and or entrepreneurship?
Well, that experience helped.
Yeah.
Is that question?
How does it help the students? How does like the community building exercises help the students as they enter the workforce or entrepreneurship or start a business?
Right. So, well, that particular project, that organization was about social mobility. So when you see the title of the job, I was director of social and cultural curriculum. And when you look at it, you probably think I was socializing and attending cultural events, which wasn't the case. So I created a community to basically encourage all the staff in organization to advocate for social mobility. And my idea was that this will spill out in the classrooms, in the teaching. So what is the social part? The social part has to do with social capital, which is the way you connect with people and the skills. So for example, teamwork, group work, participating in online communities, like we all do on LinkedIn groups, or sometimes we pay for communities just because we need more diversity of thought around us. And so students were taught to improve their communication skills, their emotional intelligence as well, because if you're not aware of your emotions, you can't connect to other people, and to develop their self-awareness as well. That was the social part. And the cultural part, students need that global perspective. That also comes diversity and inclusion, be accepting of other cultures and know how to manage yourself in different contexts with people from other societies. So in the case of the UK, the population is expected to change the demographic to more mixed backgrounds rather than white. So 80% of the population in the UK is white, but in 50 years is going to be completely different. So we are trying to prepare students for encountering diversity of not only racial, cognitive, gender, socioeconomic as well. This is a big issue in the UK where class is very important and very prominent. I think in America, you still have, at least in the past, I don't know what it's like. I would love to hear your input on that. You know, the American dream, there is opportunity for everybody if you work hard. That in the UK is different. Your social class determines a lot of your trajectory throughout your life, which I find very fascinating. So can you tell me a little bit, what is it like in the US nowadays?
Yeah, it's still the American dream. Everyone comes and tries to do, better, create a better opportunity and work hard, and whether it's provide food on the table for their family or start a business, this is definitely the place to be, for sure. And in regards to the other piece, U.S. is a little bit different. You could see it's similar in the sense that, in 40, 50 years, the Hispanic community will be the majority, right? That's why even when for the last presidency, that's why both Republican and Democratic, they were campaigning hard the Hispanic community because they see they see the power, right? I think we have like a $2 trillion purchasing power in the U.S.
Yeah.
Here in New Jersey, it's the fifth largest GDP. Like technically, like if it's larger than some GDPs in certain states. So yeah, so definitely you started to see that shift, and yeah, it's all about and what organizations doing here is basically um yeah, through topics and whether it's the ERGs, BRGs, whether it's folks like me, folks like you coming in and educating the community at large to to get ready for
Yeah.
that shift.
So I grew up because I'm from the north of Mexico. I grew up influenced by American culture, of course, and in my upbringing, I always thought everything is possible. There is opportunity for everybody, and in Europe, it's a bit different. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think the systemic inequalities are so deeply ingrained in historical because we have royals and all that kind of stuff. Class is the biggest issue in the UK. So socioeconomic background, that was basically that director of social and cultural curriculum. It was about overcoming your socioeconomic background with social capital and cultural capital. And my approach to develop people, because I was a one-woman show, which you know what? That job gave me entrepreneurial skills without me realizing, because budgets were very short and I was a director and I did the jobs of 3 people. And this is what you do as an entrepreneur at the beginning, at least. You do everything.
Yeah, you do everything. You HR, marketing, sales,
Admin, yeah.
admin, all that stuff.
Strategic leadership, public speaking, and to the lowest data entry, all sorts of things. So I learned a lot. So apart from bringing my expertise of building a community for social mobility, it was that I gained those skills. And it wasn't an easy job, but I think it gave me the entrepreneurial skills.
I love it.
In a cocoon, because I was employed,
I love it. Good. So you speak on several topics. I'm gonna combine these questions because we're winding down on time, right? So you speak on several topics, including breaking biases in organization culture, building inclusive communities. We were talking about that before with people ditching imposter syndrome. So tell us a little bit about your organization, your business. Why did you start it back a couple of years back, right? I think, right? Am I right? Like 2,
Yes.
3? Yeah.
So no, a year and a few months. I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to have my side hustle, which has become very common. But obviously, because of all my experience and qualifications, I did at a different level. But I think you can start at any level. I honestly think that there are easier things to do that you can make money. So I wanted extra money and I wanted to have the freedom to decide that strategic direction of something. So I finally, the moment came, like things aligned. The project ran out of funding. It was a difficult project anyway. So I needed a break from that. And that was the moment I thought, this is a good chance to build my personal brand and just go beyond formal. I want to see, what is it like? It is hard. I'm not saying it's been easy. It requires a lot of patience, which is something I don't have. This is what I mean, even with all the qualifications and experience, you still need to be patient. You start from zero as an entrepreneur. At least that has been my experience. I'm sure somebody has done it very quickly and has worked out for them smoothly. So yeah, the time came, and I think a lot of people I talk to, they want to do it, but they just never dare because it is scary and it's not an easy step.
Yeah, for sure. And I can tell you firsthand, I wish I was handheld or had a coach earlier to walk me through it. Yeah, I basically dived in head first once I got my doctorate. Looking back, I probably would have slowly made that pivot and then and then after a couple of clients, then probably like made the jump. I just made the jump.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then on top of making the jump, COVID came. So, those tit strikes. So, yeah. So I
Yes.
was really climbing. I was falling behind the eight ball from day one. But it took a couple of years for me to finally get my feet under me.
I think when you were my guest in my podcast, you said to have savings
Yeah.
and give it a year. And
Yep.
really, you see, after 2 or 3 years,
Yeah. Agreed.
a complete. So you can be
I
there.
agree with
That's
myself.
line. The boy of wisdom, everybody.
Exactly. Go to check out Dr. Monica's podcast.
Yeah. So I wanna talk about the imposter syndrome a little bit.
Yep.
I don't know how you feel. How do you feel about it? I want to hear your opinion about, especially women feeling like imposters and people of color as well. Like, I have my very strong opinion about it.
Yeah, no, yeah, like no, it all depends on the individual and the circumstances, upbringings, and their mindset and all that. So once in a while, it does creep up on even me as we have a guest. So you know what I mean? Like, can I do this? Can I really do this? Especially like, I'll give you an example. Even yesterday, I'm part of this board now here in New Jersey, and in real estate related. I'm the only like one of the only, not the only, one of the only Latinos in the room. So I'm like, wow, can I do this? Or, so and then I take a step back and say, you know what, maybe it's God's calling for me to be like that, the one to open doors for everybody. Maybe I'm taking the charge, right? So I do have a little doubt for a second, and I think to myself, maybe God puts me here because I wanna, I gotta be the one to start the revolution or something like that. Yeah, it's for me personally, no, it does creep up a little bit, not so much, but yeah, from folks that I talk to in my network, especially, both men and women, yeah, it is a more common topic more than ever before. Actually, to the point where for the Hispanic Chamber, for my client, the Hispanic Chamber, we're going to include that as part of our curriculum, how to overcome it. So it sounds pretty.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I think it's very real. I don't deny it, and I think some people have it. It's definitely it is a studied phenomenon in psychology, and definitely has its roots in something, and some. But what I really think is that often that the imposter syndrome is created by the external. I think we're all born beautiful and good and, wanting to do something, but then you see the inequalities and the barriers are bigger for some people than for others. And obviously you're going to, at some point, if you keep seeing it and experience it, you're going to internalize it. So you end up internalizing those messages that you don't belong. Like what you just said, I was the only two Latinos in the room. You kind of, thankfully, you snap out of it really quickly. I really like your technique.
Yeah, I did. I always did. I did.
And I think a lot of people need to be coached to snap out of it. Because honestly, I've seen so many beautiful, competent, especially women, and they're so good at what they do, and they are held back by this syndrome. And I want to get rid of it. Obviously, I just wish they could see what I see. But yeah, I think it's good that you are implementing that training in particular. I don't think because people accuse me like maybe I'm saying, oh, it's bullshit. It's not real imposter syndrome.
Never.
It's not BS. It exists, but I do think it's triggered by constant exposure to external barriers that need to be removed, obviously.
100%. We're winding down, so no, I agree with you 100% there. So you are the host of the Building Connection podcast. Tell us about the objective, the mission of the podcast, and tell us about it.
Okay, so it would go within, I think, diversity and inclusion. We talk about that, but really the focus, if you hyper focus, is about living abroad or being first or second generation professional. So I interview a lot of Mexican expats, and we talk about leadership. I think it's a very difficult and rewarding experience to go abroad and lead. So it is about diversity and inclusion, but I want to focus on especially global voices, meaning people who come first, second generation, or expats who are in a leadership position. And I think they have a lot to contribute in their experiences, how they have overcome challenge challenges, and just I want to learn from their resilience, really, how they have achieved so much. Because one of the biggest challenges of being abroad or for being a first or second generation professional is that your network, your social capital, your connections probably will not allow you to access positions of power, or it will be more difficult for you. So I'm always intrigued and curious in leadership and entrepreneurs, how they made it against all odds sometimes. So that's what my podcast is about. I just admire the resilience some people have. I want to learn from them.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. And it's available everywhere: Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
Yes, you can find it in YouTube. You can find it in Spotify as well. Apple, I think it is available, but most people listen in Spotify according to my data. That's what I have.
I love it. You got to make decisions based on data, right? So I love it.
Yes.
One last question before I ask you for your contact info. So, what final advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to start a business today?
What has it?
Don't
I
do
think
it. Just kidding.
choose wisely. No, make good decisions. And I think don't let your ego take control. I think, yeah, that would be my first advice. Be wise, make good decisions. Secondly, is your product or service really needed? Because sometimes we are so much into something, and sometimes you're 2 millimeters away. You just need to keep it a little bit. So be honest with yourself and connect with other people. Have a community of people who support you. It doesn't have to be an entrepreneurial community. It can be your family or your friends. Because sometimes you need to vent. It's true. You need to talk about the challenges, and you need people. It depends on what you want. You just want to be heard, or you want advice about what to do. So build a community around you. Definitely, those are my 3 tips. And of course, your wise advice, Jairo, about give it. First of all, have savings.
That's right. That's right.
Then the timeline of a year to know what you're doing, and 2 to 3 years.
Yep.
To really kick it off and
that's right.
have some success.
That's right. And once you gotta find out if it's successful, and then obviously if you could replace your income. And once you could do that, once you have recurrent income that replaces your existing salary, then I would say make the jump. So don't do what I did and just dive at first.
You were very brave.
Yeah. Thank you. Where could people find more? Where could people find you? How could they contact you?
So they can find me on LinkedIn, which is my main social media platform. I'm not very active in other platforms, I have to say. Or visit my website. It's www.represented.site, or you can find my podcast in Spotify or YouTube. Or send me an email, monica@represented.site. So, but I think it's easier if you find me on LinkedIn. That's where I hang out most of the time. That's how you and I met.
That's exactly. Dr. Monica, it's a pleasure having you on my show. Dr. Monica Chavez, everybody. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you for inviting me, Jairo.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Dr. Monica Chavez. I was also on her show as well. Please check her out for more information. And speaking of more information, as you guys know, I'm writing my second book, standalone book, Deal Maker, How to Easily Raise Unlimited Capital for Your Deals. For more information on that, on the release date and launch party and events, go to borjaconsultinggroup.com. That's borjaconsultinggroup.com.